Hey guys, welcome back! It is such a strange feeling to start one of these episodes and not be working on the Swamp project. I remember having a very similar feeling when we finished the End project, but I'd kind of forgotten about it until getting ready for this episode. But the good thing about being between projects is we can dedicate some time to other, smaller areas of our world. For some things, I tend to just sort them out on my own, especially if they're small or not really things that we see all that much, but sometimes I think it's nice to show the sort of maintenance that can sometimes go on in long-term worlds like this. Sometimes it's a new update that comes along to change how farms work or adds new blocks that we can take advantage of, and sometimes it's that you didn't do a particularly good job originally, especially if you didn't quite know what you were doing. And our first project for today is definitely in the second I didn't do a very good job the first time category. And for this, we need to head to the Nether Roof. Now, it wasn't all that long ago that we were up here improving our gold farm with the Shulker box loader and the automatic gold crafter. And this system is working wonderfully. I've AFK'd here a decent amount and it just works. We've got a ton of gold and so many Shulker boxes of rotten flesh, which I've traded with clerics for many, many emeralds. However, what doesn't work quite so well is our piglin trading system. I mean, to be fair, the piglins get their gold and give us their trades, but the collection system leaves a lot to be desired, because currently their various trades all just go in these chests below them, which are not sorted at all, and quite often I come over and find the chests completely full and a bunch of their loot just rotting on top of the hoppers, which is a huge waste of gold. So what I want to do is hook all 4 of these piglins up to a central storage system which sorts all the different loot. That way we know that we aren't going to be losing quartz, for example, unless all the quartz chests are full. The space won't be taken with some iron boots or fire resistance potions or whatever rubbish is normally clogging all these chests. So let's tear these chests down and give ourselves a proper system to work with. Okay, this system is definitely a little bit chaotic. Someone with actual knowledge of redstone would definitely be able to do a better job with this, but it seems to be working, which is honestly my main concern. And the main issue I encountered when making this was that I didn't want to move these piglins, and so in order to get the amount of storage I wanted, I needed to lift their drops up, and it also meant I couldn't just follow a tutorial from someone else, but I had to attempt to make something a little bit more bespoke. But that did mean that it made for a very interesting little project. For example, when I was just dropping all of the items at the top here, I found that a lot of them spit out quite randomly, and therefore some of them slid across this block at the back here, which meant that when the slime block actually pushed all of them over, they weren't shooting into the honey, and therefore they weren't getting into our storage system, because things definitely need to be right up against the honey to actually go into the hoppers. So for a while, that was definitely causing me some concern. So I ended up adding this honey block here, which as you can see, for the majority of the time, stops anything from coming through and only pulls back when this slime block wants to push everything forward. Now, obviously, given these boots here, I'm not going to pretend this is a lossless system, but it honestly doesn't lose that much, which I am very happy with, especially considering the mess of redstone I used to make this. And as for the storage itself, we have chests for all of the materials that we actually care about from the piglins, so all the gravel and quartz and string and all that lovely stuff. And I do also have a miscellaneous chest at the end to capture some of those other things that we don't necessarily want to keep this many chests of, but they may come in handy at some point, because I mean, who knows when I might need a stack of fire charges for some reason, and this means that we'll always have a bit on hand, but when it fills up, the rest can just burn in the fire at the end, and we don't have to worry about everything clogging up. But honestly, overall, I am very happy with this. We can easily find the materials that we need, and we know that we aren't going to lose anything valuable if I don't go and check all of the chests before going and leaving myself AFK while I eat dinner or something, and it also looks kind of cool. I might change the glass out for some coloured glass at some point because the clear glass does stand out quite a bit, but overall I like the lanterns and I always like a nice stack of climbable chests, so I am honestly very happy with this. And with that sorted, there is another farm where a little bit of work is needed. And that is over here at our Guardian farm. I can't actually remember if I've shown you guys this, I probably have at some point, but as I'm sure you can hear, below here is our Guardian farm, and we've got like a whole temple thing going on with some little gardens on either side of the storage system, and all in all, it is quite cute, and I really do love this space. But the thing that needs our attention is our AFK spot up top. Kind of like with the AFK spot for our creeper farm from a while back, that floating platform just isn't overly inspiring. So I think it's about time that we change it up. That is looking much better. I mean, it's still not super elaborate or anything, but I think that it's just right for our AFK spot. The main thing I wanted to do with this was make a mini version of our temple that's down below, especially the roof, because I think the roof of our temple down there is still one of my favourite things. It just has such a nice curve to it. And while we couldn't quite replicate that here, just due to it being so much smaller, it still feels very reminiscent, which is brilliant. And while I was here, I was also considering adding item sorters to this farm, but having looked at it, I'm honestly not sure if it's worth it. We don't use this farm a ton, and it would probably mean breaking all of this decoration, and also I think possibly losing some of our storage space, so I think I'm actually just going to leave it. Will I regret that at some point when I decide to make Prismarine a main building block for a project? Probably. But if we start using this farm like a ton more, then I can always add the item sorters later. And with that nice and sorted, I think I'm going to leave this episode here. I am so happy to finally have a properly functioning piglin trading system, and making the Guardian AFK spot pretty is also just such a lovely feeling. I think next time I want to try and tackle the other sort of maintenance that I mentioned at the start of the episode, where an update has come along and changed how a farm works, and I really need to get it fixed, so I am very much looking forward to tackling that next episode. But until then, thank you guys for watching, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!